items. God. Good afternoon. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Merced County Regional Waste Management Authority, Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County, and the MCAG Governing Board. Let's all stand for salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Director Pedrosa?
Here.
Director Walsh?
Here.
Director McDaniel? Director Kelsey? Director O'Banion? Director Price?
Here.
Director McGlynn?
Here.
Director Nagy?
Here.
Director Samra?
Here.
Director Bialta?
Here.
Director Thurston?
Here. Do you want to read this oral communications paragraph? Oh. Might as well make you famous on tape anyway.
Persons wishing to address agenda items or comment on any item not on the agenda may do so at this time. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and city or community of residence for the record. For items not on the agenda, no action will be taken at this time. If it requires action, it will be referred to staff and or placed on the next agenda.
Could you read the next paragraph too also?
Copies of staff reports or other written documentation relating to items of business referred to on the agenda are on file in the office of Merced County Association of Governments. Persons with questions concerning agenda items may call MCAG to make inquiry regarding the nature of the item described on the agenda.
Thank you. Item number 4 is the minutes of the August 18, 2016 Regional Waste Management Authority Board meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to those minutes? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 5, oral report, Brooks Stayer. You don't look like Brooks.
Good afternoon. Marty Garrett, pitch hitting for Brooks Stayer.
Thank you.
He's on vacation today. A couple updates. One, the tonnage. As you can see, the tonnage was very good in August compared to past August, where a couple of incidents that that may change that. One, this August we were open one extra day, and if we're open one extra day compared to last August, it could mean up to about 1,300 tons. So that's one reason why we had a major jump there. The other major jump was Turlock commercial waste. Last August we weren't getting some of the Turlock commercial waste. This August we are, and that can mean up to 3,000 tons. Next item, the fiber optic installation between Bellevue Road and the Highway 59 landfill. We are a little bit behind on that due to some permits getting from Caltrans. We do have those permits now and should start construction in any day now. And once construction starts, we're looking at 30 days from completion. So that should be completed hopefully next month. The other item is the engineering RFQ. We got 7 responses from 7 very good qualified firms, and we're going to need those for our help with our expansion at both sites. And right now the staff is still analyzing everything, and we'll be making suggestions to you hopefully by next month. And one other update. The landfill gas to energy project with UC Merced. Brooks has been in contact with the UC, and they are ready to go. They are moving at a very fast pace. They are getting ready for their enrollment for 2020 enrollment, and they have a lot of infrastructure that they need to get done. So time is of the essence on getting something in writing for them. And with that,
Board have any questions regarding item 5? Item 6, you're also going to do the Highway 59 litter collection?
Yeah, that's correct. Last month, I think the litter was a discussion. So I believe Brooks told the board that, you know, we are not really responsible for that litter that's out there. It's all the commercial haulers and the pickups and trailers. Most of it coming from the commercial haulers. They're out there every day, many times a day. And a lot of that litter comes out on their way out. So the smaller particles do come from their trucks whenever, after they dump. They do not tarp on their way out. Some of that litter sits on the bottom of those bins, and when they get up to speed on their way out it comes. Now the other pickups and trailers, quite the opposite. If they lose something, it's usually one of the bigger pieces. They got a chair that came out, or a mattress that came off their load, or possibly a rug or something big like that. That's usually what they lose. And also, along that line, we do go out and pick up those bigger, bulkier items on a daily basis. On our way into work, myself, Brooks even, some of our site supervisors on their way in, if they see some of these boxes, couches, tires, anything that's really unsightly, we try to get that on a daily basis. If we miss it, we usually miss it by a couple days, but for the most part, we still stay on top of that. Also, excuse me, we do go out and do a healthy picking of the litter, not as often as we'd like, but we just got done doing one last week, and it took us about 30 man-hours to do all the way from our main gate, all the way out to Bellevue, and then back to our main gate. It's about 2 miles one way. It's a good stretch, and it's been a while since it's been picked, and again, it took about 30 man-hours still to do that. If we can't make it out for that amount of time, we try to get out every 2 months and do some picking where there's a section that's really bad. There's a pasture that really needs to be picked up, or some other little sections that may be, we hardly ever get out to the north of our gate, and every once in a while, we'll try to get out there. Also, we try to work around the Caltrans, because over the past 9 months since the beginning of the year, Caltrans has been out there probably 2 times, and we're not going to go right in there right after them. They do some of the heavy picking in some of the bigger ditches, but we'll try to work out around them so that they can do that. But it's been a while since they've been out there, and this last litter picking that we just did, it was pretty intense in those ditches, as some of you may know. Excuse me. A number of years back, we got into an agreement with RWA, Caltrans, and the county, and this was a number of years back, probably in '06, where each of us would pick up that litter once a month. Well, it wasn't too long after we got into that agreement that the recession started coming around, and the county got out really quick. And they have other things to do, I understand that. And so Caltrans hung on there for a while. They got plenty of roads to pick up, I understand that too. And we were out there every 3rd month. We did that right up till about 2010 when we started losing a lot of staff too, and then we had to cut back a little bit on that. That continued through probably 2012, and as some of you may remember, we had to cut staff again. And right now, it's just it's hit and miss when we can get out there, and we try to do the best we can. And we drive it every day, and we notice when it starts getting bad, so we definitely hit it whenever it starts looking bad as we can. Some of the approaches that we can take are proactive. We can reduce litter through the enforcement of current laws and ordinances, which we still have, or we can be reactive and fund a third party to do litter collection. With that, I'll let you guys discuss it.
Any questions? Yes.
Does any inspection of vehicles leaving the facility take place to make sure there isn't,
No.
items? Would that be any possibility?
It's a possibility. Yeah, and again, leaving the site, a lot of the operators and guys, they don't realize it, they think they've dumped their load. They've shook it a couple times, it's not coming out, they're ready to go. But you're right, leaving the site is whenever, when they lose a lot of that little papers, and that's the ones that add up after a while.
Thank you.
Could it happen? It'd be tough for us to do it. I mean, we'd still be putting one person in there. The drivers are still responsible for their own loads.
And they can close their hoppers. That would minimize the remaining waste to be flown out if they just close it up. Or normally they just leave it open and everything flies out.
Everything
Yeah.
flies.
So-
Yeah, there's a number of different trucks that come out there.
Enforcement at the hauler level would help. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a number of different trucks that come out there. Some of them are the curbside trucks, you've all seen those, and some of them are the roll-off trucks that don't have a top on them. And the curbside trucks, like Margie's talking about, yeah, they have a hopper that they can close. They're supposed to keep them closed on the way in, for sure. But on the way out, they usually leave them open because they're going to go to their next route. They'd hate to have that thing closed whenever they dump their next can. But yeah, it would help a lot if they just close those on their way out.
Thank you.
Hope you have something.
Well, I was just, maybe one of the things we could do is revisit the discussions between the city, county, and Caltrans again that says, the economy's turning around somewhat, and maybe it's another discussion that says, is there any other ideas that we might have in approaching it and revisiting maybe we can't commit to, all of us can't commit to, once a month, but maybe it's something we could commit to and just at least have the discussion.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I brought this to your attention, I think, a month or so ago, but there is a litter removal program in Bakersfield in Kern County that they use their SAFE money to pay for it, the Service Authority for Freeway Emergencies. So that's a successful program that's actually working very well in that community and that county. That's something we could possibly bring to the table in that discussion. So I'd like to explore that opportunity.
Anything else? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One of the things that, in discussions with the warden here at the U.S. Penitentiary here, they have inmates that are on very, very low type of security, and they are offered at no charge at all for doing tasks. And we have capitalized on that here in the city of Atwater. It merely takes a letter requesting what the job entails and when you want it to be done, and how many people that you would like, and they will bring them out. So possibly you can capitalize on some free labor and get that taken care of.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
That completes the regional waste management agenda. We'll now go into the Transit Joint Powers Authority for Merced County. Item number 7, minutes of the August 18, 2016 Transit Joint Powers Authority meeting. Are there any deletions, additions, or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve?
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Number 8, oral report, Rich Green, monthly update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. You should have a one-page handout from me that has the fixed route ridership on it. It shows that the month of August was a very good month. A couple things happened. One, obviously, we offered the free rides. That was a factor. We also moved a lot of the evening hours that were not as productive into the daytime hours and increased frequency during the day, which was a little more productive. So you'll see the little red dashed line for August went up significantly from July, and also was way over previous months of August in previous years. So we hope that the month of September continues high. It probably won't be as high, but because of the free rides, but it's looking good. So ridership is up. Some of the other projects that we've been working on, the bus stops. Phase 1 is in Delhi, Livingston, Atwater, and Castle. Most of the concrete work is done. The poles are in. The facilities, the shelters, benches, trash cans are getting powder coated, so they'll be nice and fresh and clean when they get installed, and that's happening here shortly. Phase 2, which is the 3 pullouts in Merced around the Walmart area. We're still waiting on an easement, and the city of Merced is helping to help us track down getting that easement so we can finish that project. And then phase 3, which is the South Merced, It just went to the city council, and most of the stops got approved. There's a few more that need a little bit more work, and we'll go back to them and get those approved middle of next month. So we're making progress there. The operations and maintenance building, we hope to go out to bid sometime in the middle of next month. We have one last detail to work out with the city of Merced with a drainage issue, but that should be pretty easy to solve, and then we'll be ready to go out to bid on that project. And then we're also continuing our conversations with the city of Merced regarding the Merced Transpo. So that's continuing to go along, and hopefully next month I'll be able to bring something back to you on those discussions. The other project that we've been working on is the Dial-A-Ride software. Since we've moved to Dial-A-Ride for Dos Palos and Los Banos and Gustine, we've been asked to look into something similar to what we have with the fixed route, which is the Synchromatics software that tracks the bus in real time. The dispatch software that we have now has an option for Dial-A-Ride, which will allow you to book your trips with your phone. It'll allow you to get a text message when the bus is going to be 10 minutes out, or call you when the bus is 10 minutes out. It's fairly expensive, so I just got back from an annual conference, and I've talked with a couple of different vendors. I'm going to do 2 demos next week that we might be able to come up with a better option. It just so happens that Synchromatics, the company that does our fixed route software, just bought a dispatch software. So the fact that they'll be able to communicate and that the mobile data terminals on the buses will be able to communicate could be an opportunity for us to consolidate some of our technology moving into the future. So I'll have a future update on that next month. And I think that's it for my update.
Any questions for Rich? Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Yes, Rich, thank you for looking into that, and I just think, for parity, the Gustine, Los Banos, and Dos Palos, should have that availability on their phones, and I'm hoping it'll increase ridership and that the board will support that option. So thank you again for looking into it.
Anything else? Thank you. We'll move to number 9, which is the Caltrans Transit JPA for Merced County Master and Program Supplemental Agreements.
Thank you,
It is
Mr.
an
Chair.
action item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is an item that we do every year for our CMAQ grant for marketing. We have to sign an agreement, and a master agreement and supplemental agreement in order to draw down the funds. And this requires your approval.
Any questions for Rich on these 2 items, these 2 resolutions? Anyone in the audience? Of all 6 of you. Is there a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second?
I will read the resolution numbers, 2016-09-22-03, approving master and program supplemental agreements and authorizing executive director to execute them, and resolution number 2016-/09-2204, authorizing executive director to execute program supplemental agreement number 004-F for CML-6308, parens 018, close parens. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on to number 10. Transit Joint Powers Authority authorization of Federal Transit Administration, Section 5311, program grant application and program of projects for Merced County Transit Rural Transit operating expenses, federal fiscal year 2016. Mr. Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is another federal grant that we received. We received 2 major federal grants, one for urban, one for rural service. This is the one for rural service. The one thing to note is that typically what we get is a estimate, and that's what we budget for, and it was about $530,000. But when the actual dollar amount came in, it was $502,000. So that's the actual amount we can draw down. So it's a little bit less than we had budgeted for, but we'll account for that in our contingency fund.
Questions for Rich on this item? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion for approval.
One quick question.
Yes.
Not so much on the resolution, but or by adopting the resolution, are we also amending our budget?
No.
No.
We'll be able to, it's a small enough amount. We have a contingency
Okay.
fund
Good.
for
No, I
that.
was just wondering if we were doing both, so that's, okay, thanks.
Anything else? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. One more item for Rich. Changeable message sign pilot project, or item number 11.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Now you can turn over the piece of paper that I gave you before. Has a couple pictures on there. This is an item that we had brought to you probably a year or so ago to put in changeable message signs at the bus stops. After discussion at the board level, it was decided not to move forward with this project because of potential vandalism. We have discussed this with the makers of this sign, and they've made some improvements to the sign to be vandal resistant. I won't say vandal proof, but and what they would like to do is a 3-month pilot project where they would install 2 different kinds of signs at a high volume area, and I would assume that Target in Merced would be a great location since we had one of our solar shelters lights stolen from that area. So this would be a good test. So they want to test these out in the environment to see if they will survive and whether or not we can move forward with possibly buying more in the future.
Questions? Just $3,000 for 3 months? Is that what?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing none?
How many signs, they're going to be, how many signs, 2?
There'll just be 2 signs for 3 months, and actually the $3,000 is more for them to program them with our software, because it's going to take them time to do that. And then we'll test them out and see how they work.
Ultimately, if you were to put the system-wide, is it like about $1,000 per sign, or how does that, what's the,
No, I think they're about $6,000 a sign.
per sign, okay?
Is there a motion for approval?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Rich. That completes the Transit Authority Board. Moving on to MCAG Governing Board, Caltrans report.
Sure.
Dumas, I know I look just like him. He has a little bit more hair, but it's been a while since I've been here. I think some of you might have met Steve Martinez. He was one of our planners, associate level, that came here a couple of times. He's left our department, and he took a promotion, actually, with one of the colleges locally there in Stockton as the Veteran Services Manager. So that was good for him as far as his pursuits. The mile marker that's going around right now, that shows we do have it online. I have some extra copies here if anybody in the audience would like some. Just let me know after this is over. But you can go green if others want it. It's on our website in headquarters. On page 19, there's a great article about the California Transportation Plan 2040 that was recently released. And if you want that electronically, the 3 W's, and it's California Transportation Plan, oneword.org. You can get all the information. Several hundred pages. There's a main document and then appendices that are a few hundred pages. So in our district, we're looking how we can implement the goals. We're going to have action items and then outcomes and timelines. So we're taking all of our functional units that we have, at least in our district, and we're pursuing that to do our part on what we can do. And a big component of this is sustainability, getting greenhouse gas emissions down, VMT, vehicle mile travel down. We're looking at right now some studies for ZEVs, for the zero emission vehicles, fast charging stations, and the Department of Energy has that with the state, and we're looking at it. So those are some things to complement the CTP that's in that document. I'd like to say, too, that on your agenda, item 16, you have before you a request to adopt a resolution to try to get Highway 33 in Santa between 152 and I-5, that logical termini, because it connects to an interstate, and 152, which is in the National Highway System. And this adoption tonight, if you would do that, would support us in getting that in there so we can be more competitive. We know we have a lot of challenges there with a lot of ped bike, trucks, cars, the hotels, everything that's going on there. And so we collectively, with the chamber and many other people, MCAG and others, want to do more in the future, or as quickly as we can to improve that. So we would have to take this, we're going to do the package in our district with your resolution, if you support that today, and other pieces of information. We'll take that to the Federal Highway Administration. And so they have to consider that. It's limited as far as what you can put into that system. It's not all that easy, but we're really trying very hard in the district and with our partners to accomplish that. So that's item 16 you have. I'd like to announce that yesterday was a very special day for our district. For the first time in our district, we now have an HOV lane. That's singular. December, we will have lanes. So right now, as of 11 o'clock yesterday on Interstate 5, from the Alpine area in Stockton, if you're familiar, going north to Hammer, it's now an HOV lane, the inside lane. And then we're doing transition rehab work down by the Port of Stockton, so once we complete that in a couple of months, it will be extended. It's done, but it just isn't open yet because of the construction still going on, but the HOV lane's done. It will go all the way back to the Crosstown Freeway, to 4, where the Port of Stockton is. So that's good news. And driving home from StanCog board meeting last night, I live on the other end of the whole town out there in the vineyards, but I drove the HOV because right now the operation is Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 o'clock, and then it's from, let me think here, 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So I was going there much later than that last night. So I drove it for the first time. So I was looking at all the signs to make sure everything was correct. And I saw one sign that really got my attention, and it was a violation sign, just one. And it was $271. So just a heads up, if you go there during peak hour and you're by yourself, you may want to stay out of it. What else do I want to cover? I want to say something about that. That's about a $128 million project. It has auxiliary lanes, it has sound walls. Of course, the 2 inside lanes are all new through the entire city on I-5, but about a third of that was paid for by the San Joaquin County measure money, SJCOG's measure money, Measure K. And that's a big chunk, and they were able to take that and leverage that. So I really applaud you for putting that on the ballot. I believe it's still on November. They talked about Measure L last night at StanCog. They will have theirs for Stanislaus on the measure in November. So I just think it's wonderful to do because you can go a long ways once you get that to leverage all kinds of money, federal and state. So it's a wonderful thing. And I don't think we could have done that on I-5 without that local support. So I wanted to share that with you.
How much was that again?
It was about 128 to 130 million for the construction part. Support costs and all that before that was a little bit more, or in addition to that. So
a third of that was measure money?
about a third of that was Measure K from SJCOG. Yeah. So then we had some bond money and we had some shop money that we were able to put into that, the Highway Operation Protection Program. So I think that's all I have. I have a little note here for action items if you have any homework for me. And I know a lot of you email me and call me sometimes, and that's fine, and you're always welcome to do that.
Questions?
One quick question. When folks are calling about folks camping in the Caltrans right-of-way, who should they be calling? Is that CHP? Is that the Caltrans office?
Depends on what's going on.
Contact?
If it's just a matter, hey, they're there, we need to move them out, then you can call our public information office. You can call me anytime or send me an email. I'll make sure it gets to the right person.
Okay.
Because we have to give notice and we have to work with the local police department or CHP. It just depends on what's going on.
So it's probably better to call
The public
make the
information officer on our website, you can go there. But if you get lost, whatever, just come my way and I'll take care of it for you. But we have this throughout the state, and we're working with our partners, as you know, and so it's an ongoing saga and issue.
I just didn't want to send them someplace and then find out that I'm not supposed to be sending them there. I should have sent them somewhere else.
Okay,
So thanks.
thanks, yeah, thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, just a quick question. Maybe you don't know this off the top of your head, but if you could. A few months back, we had a vegetation fire on 99 on Hammett area.
Okay.
That some of the landscaping has been burnt. Do you know if there's any plans to replace that landscaping? When you come in, it just looks like burnt forest. All those trees are burn over there, you know?
It's not off the top of my head, and I don't have it in my pocket, but I'll get back to you. I know
Yeah,
who to talk
it's-
to. Let me find out, and I'll send you an email with
Thanks.
that answer. Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank you, thank you.
Item 13 is a consent agenda. It is an action item. It includes the minutes of the August 18 meeting, final drafts of the 2017 Federal Transportation Improvement Program, and corresponding air quality conformity analysis. The draft formal amendment number 17 of the 2015 Federal Transportation Improvement Program, Social Services Transportation Advisory Council appointment of Citizens Advisory Committee representatives, and the final draft 2016 Public Participation Plan. Does any of the board members have comments on any of these? Questions? Seeing none, Chair will accept the motion for approval.
Motion to approve the consent calendar?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Measure passes. Item 14 is for information, A through G. Is there anyone that wishes to discuss any one of these in particular?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Mike.
Yes, I'd like to discuss item G, and not discuss item G, just a comment. We are in Los Banos are a little concerned about the fact that the Board of Supervisors make a recommendation to, for a funding request for Atwater Merced Expressway, and then they shed their supervisor hats and then become MCAG members, and they have 5 votes automatically. And only one more vote is needed for a quorum to, for a funding request. And after reviewing this with several of the administration and the attorney in Los Banos, we just have some concerns about the process. And if this does come to fruition and it is an MCAG agenda, then we can address that further at that time. But right now, there are some concerns that the process is somewhat flawed. Thank you.
So noted. Anybody else on any of the items? We'll move on to item 15, which is an action item, Regional Transportation Plan Amendment 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Before I present the report, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Anthony Zepeda, and I am serving now as the new Transportation Planning Manager for MCAG. Very excited to be here. Pleasure to be working with all of you. I look forward to working with you for many years to come.
I hear you come from lofty headquarters in Sacramento.
I was there for most of this year, yes, but I spent 8 years with the San Joaquin Council of Governments. Prior to that, I was with the Great Valley Center.
Oh, this isn't.
Born and raised here in the
Say this
Valley.
isn't your first rodeo, is it?
About 14 years, yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The item number 15 is an action item before the board today, and at the May 2016 meeting, this board approved the 2014 Regional Transportation Plan Sustainable Community Strategy, Amendment number 1, and the corresponding air quality conformity analysis. Staff neglected to include a resolution with that amendment. And what you have before you is an amendment to accompany that action from the May 2016 meeting. It's required by FHWA in order to approve our amendment. It's an administrative action, a check-the-box item. They just need to have a copy of it signed from our board so that our amendment is consistent with FHWA standards.
Does the board have any questions of Mr. Zepeda on this item?
Just one question.
Yes.
Was this brought to the TRB too?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else? Seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Second? I think,
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Measure passes. Item 16, adding Highway 33 to the National Highway System. Mr. Zepeda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item 16, once again, an action item, and Deputy District Director Baxter pretty much gave my report for me. Caltrans has requested that MCAG support their efforts to add the stretch of State Route 33 to the National Highway System. This will enable this stretch of highway to be eligible for the National Highway Performance Program funds and also anticipated safety and maintenance funds from the MAP 21 bill recently passed by Congress.
Questions by board members? This is an action item. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, measure passes. Thank you. I know you'll be back in a minute, so. Item 17, One Voice Program. Ms. Stacy Dabbs.
Hey, there she is.
Thank you. I know this was the long-anticipated item. It feels like it was just yesterday that we finished last year's program, but the item is simply just to kick off the 2017 program. As always, we held a really great debrief, and thank you for many of you that participated back in May after returning from our trip to DC. And we got a lot of really good feedback, and so we're taking, as we do every year, that information and trying to make the program better. So one of the key things that I do want to point out is that we're implementing a recommendation to have fewer meetings. So those of you that have participated in the program before know that it was a very, over a course of 7 months or so, you met frequently, and it was kind of a slow process. We are cutting that back. So we took that suggestion to heart, and we're saying, we know what we're doing. This is a process that we've done a handful of times now, and let's just hit the ground running. So our first meeting is October 13th. And we will have one more meeting in November, and then I fully anticipate bringing back to you the legislative platform of issues and projects at the December meeting. So that is quite a short period of time considering our year's past efforts, but like I said, I think that we've got this honed down into a pretty good system, and we can make that deadline. The important part is I've sent out a call for projects or issues, so I've asked folks to come to that October meeting with ideas already, and we can start brainstorming what kind of issues we want to take back to DC. The trip is scheduled already for May 2nd through 5th. Of 2017. We have our contract in place with the hotel. We're really set to move forward. So the takeaways are October 13th. Please, if you're interested in participating or you have staff, be part of the process, because there's only going to be a handful of meetings and a lot of electronic communication to get this program done, and we're excited to get started. And I will be on the trip. I won't be here from January to March probably, but then I will be back, and we're going to have a lot of fun in DC. I might be toting a newborn, but I will be there. And I think those are the kind of the highlights, if anyone has any questions.
Questions
Mr.
for
Chair,
Stacy?
Just
Yes.
one. I'm not sure, is there a problem if you can't attend the meeting in person, that you can phone it in at least? Is that okay? Because for some folks, it's kind of difficult to be there in person. Yeah.
What was the question, if you can send an alternate?
No, phone in.
Oh, phone in, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Our lobbyist normally phones in, so we always have a phone tree available for participants. So
Yeah.
please do that,
If
because
we can do that, yeah.
we encourage the participation because it helps with the communication and making sure everybody's on the same page. So please do so.
But you have to go in May. You can't phone that in.
Oh, no. Are you going?
I won't be eligible, thank you.
No, you can still go as a
No, I
businessman at large. You look forward to your drinks.
I'll send Mr. Price.
You gonna give me your credit card for the drinks?
And Mr. Chair,
Maybe.
that does lead me to one more thing I wanted to point out, is one of the other things we'll be focusing on is trying to get more private sector participation. We usually have a handful of folks that come from the private sector, so if any of you have ideas or contacts you'd like to send to me, I'd be happy to meet with them and see if they're interested in participating.
Gemini flights.
Sorry, I'll be on a ship. Next item. 2018 Transportation Plan Sustainable Communities Strategy Public Outreach Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just another kind of information item to say that we're starting to ramp up the process of the next RTP cycle, which will be the 2018 RTP. We are in the process now of developing a public outreach strategy and a public participation plan for that project, and that will be an item that will come before you here this fall. And we've been going to all the committees and are here today to essentially say we're starting this process, and if you have any ideas or groups that you think would be key to have involved, or meetings or any other kinds of techniques that would be essential to put part into that participation plan, we'd be happy to hear them today, or you can always contact me because we'll be working on this for the next couple of weeks. Yes, it'll be on the October agenda.
Any questions for Stacy now on this item? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 19, Short Range Transit Plan Subcommittee. We are to nominate one or more directors from MCAG Governing Board to participate in the Short Range Transit Plan Subcommittee. I would like to nominate the City of Merced's next board member beginning next year to serve on this subcommittee, because the City of Merced uses a huge percentage of the transit. So I think a City of Merced representative should be on the subcommittee. And this is kind of prospective, but you guys can assign him or her at this time, I suppose. Is there a second for the? Now, it said one or more. Does somebody else have a motion to nominate an additional director from this board for the subcommittee?
I think if you got somebody from Merced, we should have the opposite side of the county, like Los Banos area. So.
Do you want to nominate yourself?
Whoever.
I wish someone else would, but, I will do it.
I will nominate Director Valetta for that.
I'll second. I guess that's enough for now. So all those in favor of my nomination, in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All those in favor of Mr. Valetta or Director Valetta being on the subcommittee, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You have another job. Congratulations. Thank you. Executive Director's Report, Margie.
Mr. Chairperson, members of the board, I just want to say a big thank you to Directors Valenta and McDaniel for enduring the heat and the humidity and the walking around Washington, D.C. a couple weeks ago. Seems like forever ago, but, and representing this agency on Valley Voice. It was another successful trip of advocating on our behalfs and speaking with one voice on an 8-county basis. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules and dedicating that week to the Valley. Thank you. Sure. Yeah.
I just want to tell you how well the trip was planned. The directors involved from all the COGs, a wonderful job. Margie takes care of everything. There were no worries in the trip. Plane flight was long, as you guys know, and the seats are smaller between aisles. So bear in mind that if you not sitting in a first class, you're going to get a smaller seat. So some of us are pretty long-legged. Look out. But I will tell you that it was a very good trip. Again, the topics were well planned, everyone was well versed, and we added water to the mix. And we were very fortunate to have a number of people at the last minute visit with us as to water quantity and quality. And Stacy, she's still here? Oh, maybe at some time, on the One Voice, water could be added to advocate for it, because we're not drowning in California, and water's our lifeblood with agriculture, and we need to make sure that we have a sufficient supply. And so the more people that we can meet with in DC, and I'm going to say be very forceful, the better for us. So please keep that in mind, and it's something that's on the forefront, and we need to make sure that we highlight that any chance that we can. Thank you.
Did you have anything else?
Thank you.
Director's reports, starting on my left. Board Member Pedrosa.
Just real quickly, I was wondering when we were going to get a Tiger Grant update and a briefing,
Debrief.
debrief.
I don't have a answer other than to say that I have, yeah, if not weekly, multiple times a week, check in with Costa's office and our lobbyist. And I know as of about a week ago, the last update I had from Costa's office was that he actually met with the secretary and was also conveying the importance of getting that scheduled soon. So I think we're just, they're slow getting going, and we're just in the queue. But we haven't stopped.
Anything further, Director Villalta?
No, nothing further. Thank you.
Sir?
The city of Dos Palos recently had a very successful cotton festival, and this was due to the efforts of just not people in Dos Palos, but outside agencies. So we thank you for all your support.
Next.
Nothing to report, sir.
Next.
Thank you very much. A couple of items. One, just would encourage you guys to, recently came across some opportunities for grants for charging stations for electric vehicles that are available through CARB and the Air District. And so as they, just would encourage you to, FYI, it's not a lot of money, but if you're making, it offsets some of the costs associated with those. And at the, in regards to water, at the DWR regulatory drought meeting last Tuesday, Assemblyman Gray, Assemblyman from Stanislaus, and Merced County staff were there to present our concerns and expressions of dissatisfaction with that their proposed redirection of water out of the Merced River.
Oh, I mean the Water Board?
The DWR.
Is that what they call it?
Water Resources
Board. Oh, okay, Mr. Vodka Drinker.
Oh, you have. No. He needs to.
Well, okay. I just wanted to thank everyone for showing up, and welcome to our casa here. And just to let you know that the clock on the wall over here that reflects quarter till 11 is not indicative of the current time,
Late meeting.
and is not also a reflection of our current financial status in the city. We will put another battery in there. In any case, I too would like to echo the sentiments of water, and as Mr. Walsh indicated, the redirection of the water, if that is any way able to be influenced through the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, as was once done here, we got to just keep beating them up on that, and I agree on that wholeheartedly. And I just want to also say, you know, we're, as we all know, we're coming upon the elections this year, and we've, you know, gone back and forth about the transportation expenditure plan, and we know how people pretty much feel about it. But one thing that is particularly disturbing about what I've seen in it, and it was reflected this last week when Mr. Walsh was a participant in a Kennedy forum, was asking candidates their impressions, and it's like getting an impression of your, you know, or an interpretation of the Bible. You will get a different one. If you ask 20 people, you get 20 different interpretations. And I think that's indicative also of the transportation expenditure plan. So I hope that the information is going to be accurate and people honestly know what is involved and make an informed decision, regardless how you feel about it now. But you know, those that are going to be voting on it, I think really need to have the proper information. Here in the city of Atwater, we are going to have a town hall meeting on the 6th of October. So if anybody wants to come out, we're going to definitely be talking about it because our streets are lousy and things need to be done in this area. And hopefully we can pass on some information to those that are not totally up to speed on exactly what it entails. But nonetheless, thank you again for everyone coming here. We enjoy having everybody here in our city. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I didn't realize I broke protocol by line, but I do have something to report as well.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you. Just to let everybody know that October 1st and 2nd, Livingston will be holding a sweet potato festival. So we invite each and everyone, please attend. It's going to be great. And also, we have a bit of economic activity in Livingston now. Motel 6 has finally pulled its permits, or grading permits, and they're on their way. We should be finally getting our Panda Express soon, and hopefully another sit-down restaurant. So things are starting to move a little bit, and housing's starting to move. So that's a sign that we're on our way to recovery. So.
Good. Thank the City of Atwater for hosting us today, and I presume the chocolate chip cookies are on their way to be put on the table. Nope. Nope. Thank you. We are now going to go into closed session, so I'm going to throw everybody out of this room and turn the cameras off, and so nobody knows what we're talking about. Thank you all for coming.